Reconnect, recollect, rewind and reset, restart, reflect, restate and reject, rethink and reform and repeat and reborn and repeat and reborn and rethink and reform and reach out and request and revise and retext, refine, remind, remove, reflex, resist, receive, reveal, relieve, relive, relight, relove, retrieve, reach out, repeal, remind, rebel, refine, recall, redeal, repel, repeal, remote, return, report, relearn, restore, remove, reaffirm, refund, regain, rebate, repay, remix, revise, reduce, replay, renounce, rejoice, refute, recite, redarkness, ignite, reward, renew, reject, rebel, relook, reform, respect, then retell, resign, retake, retime, remake, realign, relate, resist, receive, reveal, relieve, relive, relight, relove, retrieve, rethink, remap, resow, rewire, oh. I wrote that for you. Remove. It was 1968, the year Martin Luther King was killed, the year the Beatles released the White Album. It was called the Beatles album. And when it went to America, it was called the White Album because the cover was white, right? Never has the word black and white been more associated with race in America than in 1968. And anyway, my mother, she flew to England from Ethiopia, and to study, like your children might fly to England to study, or to Africa for a year break to get an experience. Ethiopia had never been colonized, had no relationship in that way with colonialism. She came to study to England in 1968. And she found herself pregnant. Women, this is what happens. They get pregnant. She found herself pregnant. She was on the bridge between childhood and adulthood. I know this story because I've spent all of my adult life finding out the facts and proving them. And if you were in England in 1968 and you were pregnant and you did not have a husband, you were seen as a threat to the church and the state. These were dark times in England. The end of empire, the echo of it. It's only a few grandfathers back. People say, oh, that's in the past. 2 grandfathers, 3, and we're in colonialism. We're in the empire. She had no relationship to that. She came to study in Oxford. She was sent to the north of England, the dark north of England, to a mother and baby home. You may have heard of mother and baby homes in Steve Coogan's film, Philomena. And the idea when she was in that home is that she would sign the adoption papers and the child would be given to adopting people who believed that there were no adults in Africa. There were just children trying to be adopted, chasing the planes, help me, take me. And She said to the social worker, I want him fostered for a short period of time. And the social worker said, yes, we can do that. And he gave me to foster parents, beautiful, kind foster parents who believed that Africa was the dark continent and that they, through God, were saving this child and that the mother didn't want me in the first place. And he gave me to her and he said to her, treat this as an adoption. He's yours forever. My mother would not sign the adoption papers because she wanted me fostered for a short period of time. The foster parents thought that God had told them to foster me. They prayed to God and He said to foster me. And they were my mum and dad. And my birth mother, she was a horrible, evil woman from darkest Africa who could not look after a child. She represented Africa to them. Unclean, unable to look after herself so they could save her and save her child. And I loved them. And they were my mother and father forever. And I knew nothing else. I didn't meet a black person until I was 9. I didn't know a black person until I was 17. Much like maybe some of your children. And at 12 years of age, my foster parents, who did the best they could with the little that they had, they put me into children's homes, and they said that the devil was inside of me. I was an adolescent taking biscuits from the tin without saying please and thank you. I was staying out late, so they put me into care. You may ask yourself, what did he do? What did he do? I asked myself the same question. When they put me into care, just the day before, my foster mother said to me, you don't love us, do you? And I said, yeah, I do, because I did. And she said, study the Bible, come back to us tomorrow, and give us your most honest and truthful answer. And I did, and I came back to her, and I said, I mustn't love you, because you're asking me if I love you. But I will ask God for forgiveness, and through His light, His love will shine through me to you. The next day, my mother and father and sisters and brother put me into children's homes. They said they would never speak to me because it was my choice to leave them because I didn't love them. My social worker who took me into the children's homes said to me, when I said to him, this is my fault, I will ask God for forgiveness. He said, none of this is your fault, none of it. And I came to realize while I was in care, while I was in the children's homes, that I was supposed to prove to them how bad I was. There is a prejudice against young people who are in care. A live, living prejudice. We're seen as a threat to society. Same with street children. Let me tell you, Superman was a foster child. Harry Potter was fostered. Elf at Christmas. There's loads of us. Look to your religions. Moses was adopted. Jesus had 2 dads. Yeah, I know. Somebody laughed then. They went, ha ha. Oh. Hold on a minute. Jesus had 2 dads. Muhammad, peace be upon him, was fostered by his grandparents. We are in all faiths, front and center. Look at your books. Look at Heathcliff. Heathcliff was an orphan from Wuthering Heights. Spider-Man was fostered. James Bond was fostered. Luke Skywalker was adopted. The reason there is a prejudice against young people who are in children's homes with outside of family is because we prove that dysfunction is at the heart of all functioning families. And outside of the dysfunction is the PR company of family. The PR company of family starts at school when you start to defend your mother and father. If anybody calls them a name, it's fighting talk. It's fighting talk. So I went into the children's homes with nothing No mother, no father, no sisters, no brothers, no aunts, no uncles, no cousins, no relativity. If a tree falls in the forest and nobody hears it, did it fall? My foster parents were never in touch with me about my first 12 years. I was relative to nobody. I fully understand that if you are angry with your family, it's part of the privilege of having family. People used to say to me, family isn't that bad, Lem. I mean, family isn't good, Lem. It's a pain, it's hard work. That hard work is the nature of family. It makes you stronger. Don't let anybody tell me, by the way, that my experience has led me to be the person I am. I was that person in the first place. I was asking myself in the children's homes, what is wrong with me? What have I done? So I left the children's homes at 12 years of age. And I just want to say also that all family is a set of people proving that each other exists over a lifetime. All family is a set of disputed memories between one group of people over a lifetime. And I realized that I had nobody to dispute the memory of me and how dangerous that was. I left care at 18 years of age, thinking that my name was Norman Greenwood. It's tattooed into my hand, NG. There's the nickname that I was given in the children's homes, Chalky White. I was supposed to take a joke. Chalky White, Norman Greenwood. The slits on my wrists are from when I was 14 years old. My mission when I left care was to prove what happened to me in the past, because when I left the children's homes, after being imprisoned for a year from 17 to 18 years of age, you ask yourself, don't you, what did he do? What did he do with the foster parents in the children's homes when I was imprisoned in the assessment centers? It's incredible, isn't it? How our institutions are creative when they're built, for whatever reason they're built for, and how slowly over the years they become rigid, they become calloused, they forget their core purpose. It was my job to prove what happened to me. When I went into children's homes, the first thing that I needed was a hug, and it was the last thing that I got, and I was at the beginning of being untouchable. I wasn't touched throughout my teenage years, and I was told then that I might have attachment disorder. 18 years of age, I left care with nothing, no qualifications, no even aspiration to go to university or to go to college, and absolutely and utterly no family. I'm a writer and I'm a poet, and I spent my adult life using my what I was given as a poet, as a writer, using the funds from that to find my family. People made documentaries, and I said, go back to my past and find out for me. I found my mother. That's my mother when she was 12. That's my father. He was a pilot for Ethiopian Airlines. He was asked to take care of my mother when she came over to England. And that's him with one of the emperor's lions. That's my grandfather, an exporter, importer, a millionaire from Ethiopia, and that's his family from the 1940s, I would guess, or 1930s. You know, in every family, there is somebody who opens their eyes and says, I've got to go back. I've got to find out. When I found my mother, who do you think I looked like? What did she see? She didn't see me. She saw my father. She saw the last time she saw him. She saw the conditions of what happened. I was 29 years of age when I found out what my name means. Lemn in Amharic. It means the question why. My mother named me why in a country, in England, where nobody knew what it meant. I didn't say this, but I should say, at 18, when I left the children's home, a social worker, he gave me letters from my mother pleading for me back to a social worker to whom she'd had me fostered to for a short period of time. He said, somebody did love you. She said, how can I get Lemn back? I want him to be with his own people, in his own country. I don't want him to face discrimination. It's from that letter that I began the search to find all of them. She saw him. My name means why. In Ethiopia, your second name is your father's first name. Why did my mother, at 21 years of age, want to ask the question, why and then his name? The irony is that because she was in England, I had to be called after her second name. When she looked at me, she saw the victim and the allegation. I held a secret within the family I was going to go into that whether it was true or not would break them so much that after spending my life searching for them, 99% of them can't speak to you. Some of you will not know what I'm talking about. Some of you will. Why do you call a child why? The irony is that I am professionally a poet, and I was before my name was Why. You could not have a more perfect name for a poet than Why.
Wigan Council has apologised to the poet Lemn Sissay and anyone else who may have been the victim of abuse at Wood End Assessment Centre. Lemn Sissay, who was at the care home sporadically as a child, says boys there were beaten, punched and kicked.
I won my case against the government only last year. I've been to Ethiopia, performed at the Ethiopian National Theatre. I'm known in my own country by a hell of a lot of people as the boy whose name is Why, who came back home and found his family. I'm Chancellor of the University of Manchester. We have over a turnover of over $1 billion. We have social responsibility of one of our 3 core goals. We have the man who found graphene is based at the University of Manchester and is a Nobel Prize winner. The first black lecturer in England was at the University of Manchester. I'm a doctor 3 times. I am an MBE, as my friend said, and she's very small, the Queen. She's very small. And I have my poems in many public spaces. This one here is a love poem. You remind me, define me, incline me. If you died, I'd. I love it. The problem with that in particular is that my name is not at the bottom of it. And I've sent a complaint to the person who put the tattoo on their hand. That's a joke. Come on. That's a whole other gig. I'm going to end on a poem. If there was ever one whom when you were sleeping, who would wipe your tears when in dreams you were weeping, who would offer you time when others demand, and whose love lay more infinite than grains of sand. If there was ever one to whom you could cry, who would gather each tear and blow it dry, who would offer help on the mountains of time, and who would stop to let each sunset soothe your shades of mind. If there was ever one to whom, when you run, who will push back the clouds so that you're bathed in sun, who would open arms if you would fall, show you everything if you lost it all. If there was ever one whom when you achieve was there before the dream and even then believed, who would clear the air when it's full of loss, count love before cost. If there was ever one whom, when you are cold, will summon warm air for your heart to hold, who would make peace in pouring pain and make laughter fall in falling rain. If there was ever one who can offer you this and more, who in keyless rooms can see open doors, who in open doors can see open fields, and in open fields see harvests yield, then see only my face in the reflection of these tides through the clear water beyond the riverside. All I can send is love, and all that this is, a poem and a necklace of invisible kisses. I have forgiven my foster parents for everything, face to face. I didn't realize, folks, that forgiveness is the greatest thing that ever happened to me. I didn't know that saying to them that I forgive you allowed me to breathe more. Take care. Thank you.